Good. Welcome, everyone, and I'd like to make a land acknowledgement. I'd like to recognize that the area we call the Fraser Valley Regional District has been home to Indigenous peoples for generations. There are 31 communities with reserve lands in the FERD's jurisdiction and as many as 69 groups with interests in the area. We honor our commitment to collaboration, inclusion, and reconciliation in our work here today and call to order the September 4th Electoral Area Services Committee meeting. Ms. Barker.
Okay, so first up, Mr. Chair, is your update from this morning's Regional and Corporate Services Committee meeting.
Okay, thank you. So it's a very short meeting this morning. We talked about air quality in small communities. Director Castle pointed out that there's not a sensor in Area G, and staff replied saying that a sensor would soon be installed. We spoke of north of the Fraser Transit, and Director Castle advocated for continued priority to be placed on this project. And there was a letter on the agenda from CN Re-Safety, and Director Makahonic advocated on behalf of Director Johnson regarding CN's appearing before the board to speak about fire prevention associated with railroads. And that's my summary. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're looking for approval of the addenda, and any late items.
Good. And before we do that, I just want to welcome Director Johnson. Good to see her zooming in and looking so good after the small medical procedure she had recently. And we'll move on to motion looking for approval of the addenda. Move Director Adamo, second Director Makahonic. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Contrary? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is 5.1. There is a motion that's been brought forward by Director Davidson, Electoral Area F, regarding the Electoral Area Advocacy Committee.
Okay, the motion would be moved by...
Do I need to read the motion or just move it?
Through the chair to Director Davidson, I think this would be your opportunity to provide rationale and just discussion on your thoughts behind bringing forward this motion.
Mover and seconder first.
Yes.
I'll move it.
Yeah, so that the Electoral Area Advocacy Committee be dissolved. Moved by Director Davidson, second by Director Wardberg. Discussion, Director Davidson.
Thank you. So a couple of things. We're just looking to address or fine tune our advocacy process to some extent. The first issue for me has been timeliness. I think by having separate advocacy committee meetings scheduled, we've hit some challenges making deadlines in a timely way. So I think that's one of the things we're trying to address here. And the other is inclusivity, with having basically half of us on the advocacy committee, half of us are not on the advocacy committee. And there's some discussions that I think all of the advocacy discussions, all of us should be present on. So by dissolving the advocacy committee, raises the question, okay, so how do we manage this going forward? I think the staff report on advocacy items that we've seen come forward through the committee and the board is excellent. And, a couple of thoughts come to my mind. We could have it as a standing item on our East committee agenda. It's also been suggested that we could piggyback every East committee with an East committee of the whole and discuss advocacy related matters there. So to me, it's the process isn't important. It's just the outcomes. And the outcomes I'm looking to address are timeliness and inclusivity. So with that, I think definitely need to hear staff's input on this, and as well as any other director who wants to say. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Director Davidson. Director Makahonic.
So thank you. I'm not, first of all, I agree on the inclusivity. I when I first put forward the idea of a committee, I didn't really have any ideas on who should and shouldn't, and that was kind of taken care of by staff. But I do see that the need to make sure that everyone that is included that wants to be included should be. As far as deadlines, I'm not quite sure on that, because for myself, when I came in to my director's role, I saw a gap that I thought that we weren't getting things in, or they weren't being addressed in a timely manner sometimes because of just the format of putting together an agenda, and sometimes we have issues come up that can't be addressed in a timely fashion. The one thing I like about the advocacy ability is that we have the issues, but we also have a new business portion, so we can bring things forward and then we can pull them together ad hoc. So I just want to make sure that I think it's really important for us as a board to be able to have that space to bring forward items for advocacy, and then also to bring things forward in a timely manner. So I really don't want to lose that piece of it. And I feel pretty flexible as to what that might look like if we need to have everyone there or added to another meeting. But I really don't want to lose the intent of being able to bring forward advocacy issues in a timely manner, and then having that ability to work towards resolution on that. So that's my point. I would really not be for counseling it and then not having the ability. So as long as we would have the ability, I would like to see something else put in place before, maybe an amendment or something that we can all kind of come together. So if other people have thoughts on that, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Makahonik. Director Adamo.
Thanks very much. Through to Director Davidson, can you explain just the process in terms of bringing the advocacy items back to the committee? So we would keep the great list that we have that staff prepares for us, and then we would be able to add things ourselves. Do we add it through our chair, or do we add it through staff? How do we go about installing these types of requests or advocacy issues that we may have within our own region?
My understanding of our process for a committee meeting, it's basically if it's part of the East Committee agenda, you've got a report on the agenda. We can comment on it or not as we see fit, and that may or may not result in motions, additions, whatever, as we see fit at that time. One way to go. If you're piggybacking a separate committee of the whole after a regular East meeting, perhaps things are a bit less formal at that point. You could address it there as well. I think staff, I'm sure, would have some insights on this.
Thanks. One more follow-up, Chair. How does staff feel about this in terms of your workload? Does this relieve you of some additional work as well?
Through the chair to Director Adamo, perhaps it might be helpful for me to provide kind of an overview on the membership or the composition of the Electoral Area Advocacy Committee. So currently that's a standing committee of the board. Those terms of reference are adopted by the board, and the membership is the board chair plus 4 electoral area directors. And that's where we aim to meet about 4 times a year. From staff's perspective, there's a number of ways that we could go about this. We could, as Director Davidson mentioned, just have these items come direct to the Electoral Area Services Committee for full discussion amongst the committee. We would have that report on the East agenda. The other option could be to amend those terms of reference for the Electoral Area Advocacy Committee to make the membership all 8 electoral area directors. But in essence, that's just another meeting of EASC, and it's a separate meeting, it's a separate agenda and a separate set of minutes. The other option, the third option from my perspective, would be to hold an EASC committee of the whole specific to advocacy issues. And certainly from staff's perspective, the most straightforward and efficient way would be just to have these items come directly to to EASC and have them on the agenda.
Good. All right. Thank you, Vanessa. Director Adamo. All right, Director Castle. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. I support this motion. The big concern that we had, and one of the reasons that this committee was struck, was given the timeliness of conversations around advocacy. And my understanding is that sometimes just simply adding it to an EASC agenda may not check the boxes in terms of timeliness with regards to getting ready for LMLGA and UBCM. I would be, and I think tacking them on to a regular EASC agenda. I know I did sit on the advocacy committee the first year, and I know going into those meetings, the brain was charged a little bit differently in terms of our work to advocate on behalf of residents, as opposed to doing the work of the regional district on behalf of the residents. So for my brain, there's a bit of a shift in those two. And so I would be in favor, I'm in favor of dissolving the advocacy committee, but I'm also in favor of, I think staff mentioned 4 times a year is when the advocacy committee was to meet. I would just like to see us have an EASC committee of the whole meeting at those times. That way we're all here. And in my mind, it then naturally progresses as part of EASC rather than floating right up to the board and not coming to this table. So I support the motion, and I would support just having a committee of the whole for EASC when we were regularly intending to have the advocacy committee meetings.
Okay, thank you. So Director Castle, are you suggesting that this meeting be an adjunct to a regular EASC meeting or separate?
Separate.
Separate. So the two alternatives that were presented with, it would seem, is what staff has suggested would be most efficient would be to add it to an EASC agenda and not require separate meetings, agendas, et cetera, or Director Castle's argument that it's better to have a separate meeting and people are maybe better prepared for the discussion. So that would be something we should talk about at this point, perhaps. Director Wardenberg.
Yeah, through the chair to staff, I guess the question would come up then, if we do decide to keep it on one EASC agenda, when's the latest you can get an item on the EASC agenda? What's the timelines on that?
Through the chair to Director Wardenberg, we publish the agendas the Friday before the Thursday meetings. However, we're working a full week in advance of that to get items onto the agenda. But in terms of, say, a director adding a notice of motion, I believe, can't recall it right off the top of my head, but I believe it's 10 calendar days or 10 days prior to the scheduled meeting. So either way, probably 10 to 14 days in advance.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Wardenberg. Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity for all of us to have discussion around advocacy issues, so I do support that part. My preference would be, at least what I'm hearing, is that staff it'd be more efficient to have not a separate meeting. What I'm wondering is it, can we I guess fool around with the schedule a little bit so that maybe we're not having advocacy at every EASC meeting, but it's every second one or every fourth one, like the quarterly ones, and we can start those meetings at 1 o'clock. Like, are we able to adjust or call that first portion committee of the whole or something? Like, are we able to do things like that?
Through the chair to Director Dixon, I think certainly that is manageable. We could staff hear that comment that about maybe that it doesn't need to be discussed at every meeting, but it is added to the EASC agenda on an as needed basis, and where we suspect that the meetings might go a little bit longer, that we adjust that meeting to start at 1 o'clock.
Good. Thank you, Director Dixon. Director Davidson.
So procedurally, I think there seems to be consensus around dissolving the advocacy committee. Just for clarity, certainty, what have you, what I was hearing is 2 slightly different things on the committee of the whole approach. One is to piggyback it after every EASC. The other was to replace the 4 regularly scheduled advocacy committee meetings with 4 regularly scheduled East Committee of the Wholes. For myself, I don't support that approach because I don't think it ticks the timeliness box. What I found on some of the things of concern to me, and maybe it's a comment on me being ill prepared, I don't know, but if there's any need for an iteration, something comes up, discussed, further research required, well, guess what? Now you're waiting to the next advocacy committee meeting. So there's a, or next advocacy related committee of the whole, whenever that is. They simply just need to be more frequent. So anyway, technically, maybe this is off topic from the motion, which is just to dissolve the advocacy committee. But we do have to speak to what we're going to replace it with at some point.
So perhaps we could address the motion that's on the table right now as to whether we want to dissolve the existing advocacy committee and then move forward as to what the new format might take if we do dissolve. That'd be okay? Staff, that's okay? Yeah. So on the motion, all those in favor of dissolving? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, motion is carried. So the advocacy committee is dissolved, and now on the new format. Someone like to make a motion? Director Davidson.
I'll move that advocacy be added to East Committee agendas as a standing item.
Seconder, Director Makahonic. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Contrary, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we have item 6.1 is the draft Electoral Area Services Committee meeting minutes from July 10th, 2025.
Motion, move Director Adamo, second Director Wardenberg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Next, we have a series of 4 grant and aid requests for which we'll go through each individually. Each has a motion for consideration. The first up is 7.1, which is 2025 grant and aid request, Mount Hope Senior Citizens Electoral Area B.
Move Director Adamo, second Director Wardenberg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Next is 7.2, 2025 grant and aid request, Lake Erock Community Association Electoral Area C.
Move Director Wardenberg, second Director Castle. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Next, 7.3, 2025 grant and aid request, DeRoche Elementary School PAC, Electoral Areas C and G.
Move Director Castle, second Director Wardenberg. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
And last, we have item 7.4, which is 2025 grant and aid request, Popcom Gardens Community Group, Electoral Area D.
Move Director Makahonic, second Director Dixon. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Okay, so we move to 8.1, Electoral Area B Residential Curbside Collection Services Contract. There is a motion for your consideration.
Move Director Adamo, second Director Dixon. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
So 8.2, Athy Road Bank Stabilization Contract Award. There is a motion for consideration, and I will note that Mr. Chan, Deputy Director of Engineering, would like to speak to this item if directed by the chair.
Good. Would you like the staff report to come out first or a motion on the table?
A motion first, please.
Okay, looking for a motion. Move Director Castle, second Director Wardenberg. Discussion, Mr. Chan.
Through the chair to the Electoral Area Services Committee. Just a quick update to let you know that if approved today, the current report on the Athy Road works will be updated prior to this month's board meeting. In addition to the contracts for Jake's Construction, the Fraser Valley Watershed Coalition, the letters of credit with DFO, and the agreement with the Nikomin Island Improvement District, staff will also be recommending the board authorize a change order to WSP, who is our engineering consultant on this project. Change orders for additional contract administration, environmental services, the Camel First Nation guardian monitoring, and technical review. With this change order, the project's still expected to be well within the grant funding available. Just letting you know that there's a change coming.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chan. Discussion, Director Castle.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. First of all, I can't contain my excitement enough that we've got to this point with this. It was January 2023, about 2 months after being elected, that residents in the area alerted me to the large scour in the foreshore at Athey Road. So I'm very happy that we've got to this point. I've got 3 questions. One was with regards to the funding available. In the event that there's cost overruns with these sorts of projects that are not FERD service area projects, how is that? How do we deal with any potential cost overruns? Through the chair to staff.
Through the chair back to Director Castle. As you're aware, there is no service area for this project, so we don't have an internal funding source to augment or supplement the funding. Our approach with this project would be to cut back scope.
Yeah, okay. Second question, thank you for that, through the chair to you. Are we good with all our permits on this? So at this point, does this mean that we've got all our permits and we're good to go?
There are still 2 permits that we're waiting for final review from. Those would be through Transport Canada for navigable waters and from DFO for the fisheries authorization. They can't issue that until we give them the letter of credit.
Okay, but we're pretty confident, the DFO one in particular?
All discussions have been very positive to date.
I like that answer. And the question that you know is coming next through the chair to staff, if this is approved, when can we expect work to begin and finish?
Through the chair to Director Castle, we would be expecting to issue our notice to proceed the day following the board meeting. The work would be expected to be substantially complete by mid-January for Jake's construction, and then the Fraser Valley Watershed Coalition would be expected to be complete by the end of April.
Now, those are timelines I can get excited about. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Castle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
We have item 8.3, Fraser Valley Regional District North Cultus Lake Sewer System Service Area Amendment Bylaw number 1793, 2025. There is a motion for your consideration.
Looking for a motion. Move Director Dixon, second. Director Adamo, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
8.4, Fraser Valley Regional District Parkview Street Lighting Service Area Amendment Bylaw number 1794, 2025. There's also a motion for your consideration.
Move Director Dixon, second Director Ordenberg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
8.5, Fraser Valley Regional District Cultus Lake Integrated Water Supply and Distribution System Service Area Amendment Bylaw number 1795, 2025. And a motion for your consideration.
Motion. Move Director Dixon, second Director Makahonic. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
And 8.6, Fraser Valley Regional District Cultus Lake Integrated Water Supply and Distribution System Capital Construction Service Area Amendment Bylaw number 1796, 2025.
Motion, Director Dixon, second Director Adamo. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
The next item is 9.1, FBRD Electoral Areas A and B Geohazard Mapping Project. There's a staff report for information on it.
Okay, looking for a motion. Moved Director Johnson, second Director Adamo. Any discussion? Director Adamo?
Through the chair to staff, just thanks very much for this. It was an incredible read, some really enlightening things that have occurred over the years that I was certainly unaware of. So it was nice to see a report as detailed as this that will be relatively easy to explain to the residents of all of those communities. Thanks.
That's right. Thank you. It's an information item. Excuse me. Any further discussion? Moving forward, Ms. Barker.
9.2, Development Permit 2025-02 for land alteration soil deposit at 38482 Bell Road, Electoral Area G. There is a motion on this for your consideration.
Thank you. Move Director Castle, second Director Wardenberg. Discussion. Hearing none. Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is obviously, am I on the right one? This is the one that is a 2-year project, I believe, could be up to that. Is there anything in place that is, going to, protect any neighbors that might be impacted from endless truck traffic? And in my area right now, we have had truck traffic just for several months for a project. And it's nonstop complaints, trucks driving down the middle of the road, people fearing they're going to lose their life, noise, brakes, those kind of things. So I'm just, curious what that might look like.
So we could direct this question to Ms. Hipwell, Manager of Planning.
Thank you. Through the chair to Director Dixon. Addressing or mitigating impacts that occur on Ministry of Transportation and Transit roads is outside the scope of the development permit. However, as part of this process, staff did confer with staff at the Ministry of Transportation. They're aware of the activity and have been working with the applicant to address the concerns that have been brought forward by the community.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hipwell. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Contrary, the motion carries.
So we have item 9.3, Development Variance Permit 2025-05 to reduce the interior lot line setback for agricultural buildings at 9466 and 9518 Catherwood Road, Electoral Area G. And there is a motion for your consideration.
Move the recommendation.
Okay, looking for a seconder. Director Wardenberg. Seconds, discussion. Director Castle.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. I'm going to ask what could be a bit of a provocative question on this one. Graham loves those. If we don't issue a building permit and the applicant builds anyway, what risk is there to the FVRD?
Director Castle, could I clarify, are you asking about risk to FVRD as a corporate entity, or are you asking about risk to the community?
Well, I think the community is invested in the corporate entity. So we create these processes and these permits to mitigate risk. I'm just wondering if, for the benefit of committee members and members of the public, what risk is there? What are those risks that are being mitigated by the benefit of a building permit?
Sure. Thank you. I understand your question. Building permit requirements that are fundamentally about the health and safety of the building and the health of people who would be occupying or in and about the building. And so the building code has minimum standards for the structural integrity of the building and a variety of things that relate to the stability and safety of the building. So the method for determining whether the building code is met is the building permitting process. And with that process, we review plans ahead of time, issue a permit for construction, and then monitor the construction at key points to do checks for building code compliance. And it's a very common through that process, from the plan checking through to inspection process, that our building inspectors identify aspects of the construction that don't meet code, and then we work with the builder to correct them. That's routine, but without that process, of course, we have no assurance about the quality of construction, whether the building meets the building code, and ultimately whether the building's safe and will function as expected over time. That's particularly important where we have not just the owners occupying a building, for example, but in buildings such as these where we'd have employees, sometimes young employees who may be exposed to risks associated with not only buildings, but other structures, manure pits, for example, that pose risks. So the building permit is a really critical part of those basic checks for code compliance and minimum construction standards.
Thank you, Chair. And through the chair to staff again. So then that does, so we're mitigating risk in your example to potential employees that are in the building. What risk to the corporate entity of the Fraser Valley Regional District, which is the residents, right? The residents are invested in this corporate entity, meaning any risk posed to the entity is borne by the residents who are invested in it. So in the event that something does happen and those employees are affected, impacted, what risk is there to the FVRD as an entity in that scenario?
It benefits the community as a whole that buildings meet a minimum safety standard. And one illustration of that is fire risk. So buildings that don't meet minimum safety standards may well be pose a greater risk to fire. And so fires can spread between structures. They can spread to the surrounding environment, and to other property. Structure fires can result in the spread of that fire to other properties. And so there's a direct illustration of how building permitting benefits neighbors. If part of your question, I think, is about risk to FVRD, that's a question that maybe would need a more considered response. But what I'll highlight is there's the reputational risk in that. If the regional district understands that there's construction and that construction continues to occur over a long period of time, and it's egregious in that sense, and we're aware of it, and we understand that there might be employees or maybe even young employees, and that the construction may pose risk to occupants or to the surrounding community, and we don't do anything, then I think one risk is to FVRD's reputation and to public confidence in the work we do in the building permit process and our building service and function, and by extension to FVRD itself. And so the risk is to public confidence and trust in us and what we do.
Perfect. Thank you, Graham. And the reason that I ask those questions is I think sometimes we kind of just get into these procedures of building permits and we don't really stop to reflect and understand why these processes are in place and why they are important. And I think not just for the members of the committee and the board that are making these sorts of decisions, but for the public to understand why these processes are important and why we make decisions that we do around these sorts of applications. There is risk to health and safety, and there is risk to the taxpayer if we don't get these things right. So I appreciate your answers to those not so simple questions. Thank you, Graham.
Good. Thank you, Director Castle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary, the motion carries.
We have item 9.4, Agricultural Land Commission application for fill at 1162 Iverson Road, Electoral Area H. There's a motion for your consideration.
Move Director Dixon, second Director Makahonic. Discussion, Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for bringing this forward. And so I can see that this has already occurred and seeded, and this is an after the fact application. So I have a couple of questions about that. When that happens, like do they pay different fees for applying, or is it the same fee as somebody that applies before they deposit the soil?
Ms. Hipwell?
Through the chair to Director Dixon, the fee remains the same. The application is made through the ALC, and they do not have tiered fee structure depending on whether or not the works have occurred or not.
Okay, thank you for that. And just to confirm that at one point there was the talk about adding 25,000 cubic meters, I think it was, and that's off the table. This is it for that part, as far as you're aware.
Through the chair to Director Dixon, the application indicates that it is limited to the soil placement that has already occurred. There is no intention to place additional soil per the information that's been provided in the application.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Dixon, staff. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary motion carries.
We have item 9.5, Fraser Valley Regional District, Electoral Area, Commercial Gravel Operations and Soil Deposit Service Area Amendment Bylaw number 1801, 2025, and Fraser Valley Regional District, Electoral Area, Soil Deposit Bylaw number 1802, 2025. And there is a motion for your consideration.
Move Director Castle, second Director McAhonick. Any discussion, Director Castle?
Thank you, Chair Dickey. Only again, to express my my pleasure in seeing this get to where it's at today. We've been working on this for a long time, really hard, and this will hopefully give us a tool to begin to address some of the concerns that Director Dixon raised a few moments ago. This is our tool in the toolbox that we do not currently have with regards to soil deposit in electoral areas. So I'm excited to see this move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Castle. Director Davidson.
Thank you. Through just on the timelines, a couple of things jumping out at me. One is the technical review and public comment period starting in October after first and second readings for the number bylaw 1802, the soil deposit bylaw itself. A little surprised to see technical review not happening beforehand. And I'm not sure why that is or how that is, but I'm mindful of the fact that right now there are a number of fill operations going on, some with development permits where they are required, some without development permits when they are not required. And my sense of at least the ones in Area F and probably Area G as well is that these are ones that would not meet the test of the proposed soil deposit bylaw that we've seen so far. So the way I look at it is that every month of delay is a month of more fill coming in that would not be coming in should a soil deposit bylaw be in place. So I think I'm just trying to understand, why this way. I'd even go so far to say for the public comment period, I'd like to see that happen after. I'd like to see this get to third reading, get this thing off to the province as soon as possible. And there's always room for adjustments via public comment. Later, bylaws can be amended. I'm just concerned that for every month this pushes out, the trucks continue to roll, that the soil deposit bylaw itself, and if in effect, would bring to an end. On Sylvester Road, we had a surveyor that was killed by a dump truck. You may have heard of that, a loaded dump truck moving north on Sylvester Road recently. So that there's a public safety aspect to this as well. So I'm wondering what staff's thoughts on this are.
Mr. Daniels?
Thank you to the chair. We're endeavored to bring this forward to you as quickly as we could. So we received this draft bylaw from our consultant on the agenda deadline for this meeting, put it on the agenda with the intent of bringing it to you as quickly as possible so that you can see it and if appropriate, give it readings. The readings, I think, signal the value of obtaining some readings on the bylaw before sending it forward for public review or even before what I've called a technical review by staff, is that it signals the interest of the committee and board in moving this forward quickly and your commitment to it. It's not necessary that those readings occur before a technical review or a public comment period. That would be a reasonable path forward if that's how the board so chooses. But by way of explanation of why I've outlined this particular path, that's it. That I wanted to bring the bylaw to you very quickly so you have your eyes on it. And I think your readings would be taken as an expression of support and interest and commitment and concern by those who might be reviewing it. Recommended 2 readings and then doing the technical review and public comment so that any changes can be made then before 3rd reading. And that's because the bylaw would be submitted to the Minister of Environment for approval after 3rd reading. And once we have that approval, it becomes harder to make changes to the bylaw without having to resubmit it to the minister for approval. So that's the path that explains the path as it's been outlined.
So I guess my question is there a way to restructure this so that we don't lose the month of October for technical review and public comment, and do that either concurrently, do technical review like immediately, and defer public comment to as need be. I don't believe there's a requirement for public comment for this kind of bylaw, but I could be quite mistaken.
There's not a statutory requirement that we have a public comment period. But in order to satisfy what I understand to be rules of procedural fairness, providing an opportunity where the board is aware of that it may pass a bylaw, for example, or a policy, and the board understands that that policy or bylaw could have a significant effect on other parties, and you could reasonably foresee it. The dictates, if you will, of procedural fairness are that we provide an opportunity for people who might be greatly affected to comment on the bylaw, and that you take those comments into consideration. And so while there isn't a rule that is established in statute law, legislation, there is the administrative, which is a common law provision, principles around procedural fairness and providing opportunities for review and comment. It was my estimation that given the impact of this bylaw and that it would impact operations that are currently legally established and have made investments, sometimes very significant investments in professional reporting and in the acquisition of equipment and contractual commitments to contractors, this bylaw is going to come into place. There's no grandfathering. It applies on the date that the bylaw is adopted or that you say it applies. And this bylaw may significantly interfere with how those operations proceed from adoption forward. And that's the reason why I'm recommending that we have this public comment period to satisfy what I understand to be common law, administrative law principles of procedural fairness.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Daniluz, and thank you, Director Davidson. So on the motion, all those in favor? Contrary, the motion carries.
Okay, we jump to 10.1.1, which is an information item on fire underwriter survey.
Good. Any discussion regarding the fire underwriter survey? Director Dunn.
It was a great report. Thanks very much through the chair to staff. One thing with respect to the only fire department that we have in the community area, in our area B with the Sunshine Valley Volunteer Fire Department, it doesn't apply to anything within here, but someone had contacted me to ask me about this on the agenda the other day. We actually are covered under the Underwriters S, which means we have a superior shuttle service. So if anybody was interested in that, that does apply to the Sunshine Valley's Volunteer Fire Department. They are qualified for that, and that gives us our insurance underwriters positioning. However, right now with the water shortage, it's become more prevalent that people are aware that we in fact have that for their coverage, because some people are renewing right now and very concerned about fire protection, and all of my other areas are protected properly through a regional district service, but that one is not, but they are covered under the Superior Shuttle Service. That's all.
Good. Thank you, Director Adamo. And I'd also like to thank Ms. Barker for a very informative staff report. I've for years wondered about the standards of these FUS decisions. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Good. And that was an information item, so we'll move forward.
We have item 10.1.2, Chilliwack River Valley Volunteer Fire Department Squad Truck Replacement. There is a motion for your consideration.
Move Director Makahonic, second Director Dixon. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
Item 10.2.1, request from BC Ministry of Environment to transition responsibility for Lorenza Creek Recovery Works to FERD. There's a motion here for your consideration.
Motion move Director Adamo, second Director Wardenberg. Discussion Director Adamo.
Thanks very much, and thanks for this report, everyone. This is in my area, of course. I'm very familiar with this particular creek. I don't believe it's something that we would like to accept. I would certainly not like to accept this on behalf of the regional district. It's fraught with continuing challenges and challenges that will go well into the future beyond the lifespan of this 10-year agreement. So I don't, there are so many issues with it currently, right from the reclamation from the pipeline that's not been completed properly in many mines that has caused some challenges with the river itself, the residential community that surrounds it, fisheries. There are so many different things, the illegal dumping that's occurring on both sides of it right now. So I don't believe this is an asset that we would like to assume, and certainly not one to place service agreement into. So that's just my thoughts on that one. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Director Adamo. Director Davidson.
Thank you, Chair. Just to share, there's a direct parallel with what's going on in the Hatzic and the provincially led recovery works there. Province has put, and we're very, very grateful, has put millions of dollars into stream remediation. But some of that stream remediation has a warranty period, and the province has the challenge of trying to find somebody who will take on that warranty work. And they'd love it if the local government would take it on, but again, without any kind of service area, at least not at this time, it's very, very problematic. One gets the sense in discussions with the province that should there be another ARE tomorrow, an equivalent amount of damage occurring, the Ministry of Environment, from its own internal lessons learned in all this, is going to be far less likely to step up to the plate and do the kinds of works they've done in Hatzic and Director Adamo's area. So it's interesting to see where this goes long term, but certainly in the short term, there's nothing but risk, and the province is just looking for somebody to take that risk away from the province, which they own right now. So fully support the motion. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Davidson. Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I support the motion and support not taking this on. It's the same in my area where I have Blue Creek, and I can't imagine if that one started to fall under regional district jurisdiction as well. And my thoughts are that they're all over the place. And if we say yes to one, what will be on the agenda next month, or which one? So that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you, Director Dixon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
11.1 is a quarterly update, Q2, April 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025.
Information item, Director Davidson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to see on the bylaw section, I know I'd asked to know the change since the previous quarter report. To be specific, I was looking for the change in the number of active bylaw files, not in the change in the number of new files. So hoping for another tweak on this report. Give staff a moment, they can see what I'm referring to.
So I can see here on the update that it says an increase of 11 files from Q1, and you want the information for active files.
Yeah, so the 11 files implies a change in number of new files. I'm trying to get an indication of the change in the number of total active files.
Okay, yes, we can do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take things back to staff.
Okay, now we have item 14, which is report by electoral area directors.
Director Castle, you'd like to start off?
Thank you, Chair Dickey. It's good to be back after a month off. Definitely, things are kicking off this fall with a bang, and lots going on. I attended an event hosted by the North Fraser Fire Department on August 26th at Hall Number 1. The fire department hosted a free corn roast with hamburgers and hot dogs and all the fixings, and even had a monster foam party for the kids. And I'll just caveat in there, it wasn't free, it was by donation in support of the Firefighters Association. The event was very well attended by families in the area, and there were even some of our friends from Mission Fire Rescue that joined in the fun. Thanks to the North Fraser firefighters for hosting a great community event and for their participation in the Duroche Community Fair that was hosted at Duroche Hall on August 23rd. At the fair, the firefighters created a very fun game for kids of all ages, and the fire hose blowing cold water onto the crowd in the hot summer heat was the main attraction at the fair. During the quiet month of August, I did have an opportunity to attend the public hearing for the Area C OCP and look forward to receiving the staff report back with regards to public engagement during that hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Castle. Director Davidson.
Nothing for me, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Director McElhonick.
Thank you. So August 28th, I attended a regional, provincial, EA, and stakeholder meeting for CDART. And it's an organization that helps out with animals in emergency rescue situations. They actually have a pet trailer for when there's like a fire or whatever, they can come where people are being evacuated and people can bring their pets. They said the problem they have mostly is people want to stay with their pets, but they register them and they keep them separately. It was interesting. There's an alert animal lifeline. I don't know if anybody knew about that. It was new to me. They do training, so we can have them come to different areas or like the district and do training for that. I'm going to forward the information to Tarina about the group. She's probably aware of it, but I felt that there was another person in her role from another district, and I kind of think that it would fall more under her than to the regional, than to the east, somebody from the directors. And then they talked about just the importance of creating plans for your own pets. People usually do plans for livestock and things like that, but when it comes to pets, they don't. And the person that kind of heads it, her name is Heather Ferguson, and it's CDART. And I should have looked up the full name, but that's what that was. And yesterday I attended, I'm not sure who else did, the emergency management meeting for the province. Tech hazard meeting, Rachel Pollard, the deputy minister from EMBC Emergency Services, talked about the River Forecast Center. Then we talked about the Ag Coordinator Program to support during emergencies. Did a BC wildfire report. Just the most recent week with the storm, there was over 6,000 lightning strikes in 1 week. I thought that was quite interesting. Year to date in BC, and this is from yesterday, 1,158 fires, and the area burned is 767,288 hectares. 102 fires were put out in the last week. They also said that they have the app, and they'd like people, when they do the app or use it, they can also send in photos if they're reporting, and it's really helpful. So if people are putting out information to their communities to actually do that. And yeah, so it's the mobile app. And then locally in my area, this Saturday is the community day at Thompson Regional Park. September 28th is the Chilliwack Vedder River Cleanup Society, does the annual or biannual cleanup. And this year I was able to kept them in touch with Allison at Tourism Chilliwack, and they're bringing different resources and some volunteers. So that'll be a first. And I've been working with Damian Gillis and the residents who were impacted by the 2021 atmospheric river. He has come, he's done his filming, and we plan on starting a social media campaign in October. So I'm kind of excited about that, and we haven't given up. So thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Makahonic. Director Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. In August, the Canyon Lanes held a community fun day, and Fire Smart sent up coloring books for the kids. Police, ambulance, and fire all showed up, and kids got to check out the fire truck and police car and the ambulance. They had a bouncy castle. They had outdoor games, also bowling, of course, and they sold hamburgers and hot dogs, and had a really good turnout. It turned out really well. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Johnson. Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The highlight was we had their grand opening of the Cultus Lake North Wastewater Treatment Plant last week, and it was just really well done. I really want to thank the staff that organized it all, and certainly those that took all that time to build it and make sure it stayed on time and on budget. It really is a great thing to celebrate for our area, but also for all of, I think, our regional district. Appreciated the directors that were able to attend, the staff that joined us. Cultus Lake Park Board was also there, and Cultus Lake Stewards. So it's just really pleasing to have that done and working so well. So thank you. I've been dealing with Blue Creek quite a bit. The construction is almost finished. Right now, we're just dealing with truck traffic removing the rocks that they brought up several months ago, and then they didn't need all these rocks. So now there's a mountain of rocks that are being taken away and somewhere else. The project itself has, other than that, is mostly completed. They've done some landscaping around the work they've done in the creek bed. It really is kind of a huge project. They enlarged the kettle. It's massive. If you ever feel like going for a drive, you just have to drive down Maple Falls Road. You cannot miss it. As well as they've done some reinforcement in the creeks. We're still working a little bit with them on some of the habitat that has been impacted by the work they've done. Last week, I had an opportunity to go for another walk on Blue Creek with one of the residents, as well as with the opposition critic, Donica Wilson. So she's opposition for waterland and resource stewardship. And it's good for her to come up and just kind of see, and the resident expressed some of the concerns, but some of the appreciation as well. So that one, like I said, that one's pretty much done. Still concerned with the Americans spraying glyphosate in the Blue Creek watershed, and just really trying to get some conversations going, provincial staff to state staff. That's kind of where it needs to be. I want to thank the police, RCMP, for all the effort they put in for helping to keep summer traffic flowing up at Cultus Lake on the busy weekends. They were certainly visible. They were out and about trying to get people to move along and let them know when the parking is reduced. There still is some work to be done. It's people come up, they don't always know there's no parking, and just trying to get that message out is still a goal of mine, is see if we can find a way to communicate that to people so that they make a different choice once they've come up. It's that's what's causing all the traffic congestion. And yeah, it's fall, and so looking forward to attending UBCM and seeing what we can learn there and what happens there. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Dixon. Director Ordenberg.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Dickey. Just one thing, I attended the DeRoche Fair, and Yeah, it was well attended, and I thank Director Castle and the rest of the volunteers for such a great day. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Ordenberg. Director Down.
Thanks very much. It's been a tremendously busy month, not really a month off as people suggested it would be. Laidlaw had their very first Laidlaw days, a tremendous success with a car show and a whole bunch of family activities. So a special thanks to Hans Muller and his wife and their entire team for putting on the first annual. Just a reminder that Hope Brigade Days is taking place this weekend that everyone is involved in. Starts tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be producing the live music event taking place on Saturday with 5440 being the headliner, as well as Barracuda, which is a Heart tribute band, and that will be concluded not with a fireworks demonstration, but with a laser show this year. And with all the smoke in the air, it's due to be a tremendously successful laser show, unfortunately for the wrong circumstances. Challenges have been extraordinary throughout Area B throughout this period with numerous fires taking place, evacuation alerts. I wanted to thank everybody here, all the staff for taking care of the residents from Spuzzum through Yale and Dogwood Valley. They're still under heavy smoke as well as the Sunshine Valley and parts of Laidlaw as well. But they're feeling a little better right now with things somewhat under control. And then the Highway 5 fire that's occurring with a couple of recent evacuations that have had to take place as of about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So people are quite nervous about that one as well. A couple of messages directed at the residents and the ownership. This is my PSA for the Sunshine Valley. We've had little to no water since August the 14th. Our private water system has failed, and there's literally no water coming through the above ground system to provide for that. They've been using a shuttle service to support it, which is great during the day, not so great in the evening. So my message really is if you don't have to be in the Sunshine Valley, don't show up. If it's not your permanent residence, stay away until we can get this under control. When I say we, it's not a responsibility of the regional district as it is a private water system, and it's a tremendous burden right now to those that are working on it when everyone is coming up for their leisurely weekends. And that includes the 122 Airbnbs that we have there. We would sure like them to stay away as well and plan a holiday at a different time, perhaps when it's safer to do so. To Mayor Smith and Primo Brands, I want to thank them very much for supplying water, drinking water for us, bottled water. They continue to be great supporters of the community and helping us out. So thanks. And also thanks to our manager of the Hope Rec Center, Mike Freemark, who had a great idea when this all began to provide free showers for residents of the Sunshine Valley that would like to come down to Hope or that happen to come down to Hope for their shopping or whatnot. They can utilize the facilities at no charge during regular hours of the Hope Rec Center. So thanks so much to everyone. We've been working with the system with MLA Luck has been involved with this. MP Strahl has also been involved. And it's something that we'll be pursuing immediate action from the provincial government to try to assist our community. And it's become extremely serious. And on something positive, on our update here, it shows that 10 dogs were placed into new homes from our service. I am happy to say that it is actually 11 dogs now. With Monday, my wife and I adopting a dog from our very own Fraser Valley Adoption Center. Little Betty is a German Pinscher who was happy to have a brand new home. And they were just fantastic to work with through this entire process and the fostering program. So thanks so very much.
Good. Thank you, Director Dow, and thank you for giving us an idea of what's going on with our former colleague, Director Dennis Adamson. And yeah, certainly our thoughts go out to him. You're a very busy director, and in contrast, I have nothing to report. Thank you. So turn things back to Ms. Barker.
Okay, we will move to public question period for items relevant to the agenda, and I'll just turn that over to our Deputy Director, Deputy Corporate Officer, apologize, Ms. Olenek.
Thank you, Ms. Barker. We have not received any written correspondence, and we no longer have any members of the public joining in person or online.
Good.
Okay, now we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Move Director Castle, second Director Davidson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries. Thank you, staff. Thank you, directors.